Talk of the Town is up and running in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, USA. I'm Scott Montesano, and this is where the Chippewa Valley comes to talk to those watching on the video on YouTube. We've changed up the backdrop just a little bit. Some more changes still to come to the backdrop, but change the backdrop up just a little bit. Try to do that once every year. But of course, when you're watching on the video, you're coming to see the sexiness that is Scott Montesano. Alas, I don't believe sexiest person in the Chippewa Valley was one of the options in the latest Volume 1 Best of poll, but that came out this week. We've talked about it before, by the way. I think it is, if you're smart about it, and I think Volume 1 knows this too, if it is long since, it's no longer this actual who is the best of. It's more of just for fun is what the best of is. Many big-time brands in the area don't really focus on it as much anymore. Even some of the people I know who've won have kind of laughed about it. You get an email or two a couple weeks ahead that you've at least placed, and then attached to it is information on how you can buy a frame for your plaque and buy tickets to the celebration that they have. It's a big money maker for Volume 1 for them, and for the community it is a talking point. But one, they don't have sexiest person. I would win that going away, and anything short of that in the area would be an absolute fabrication. The other thing is, long we have never won really Eau Claire Hometown Media with the best of podcasts. The famous story of a couple of about 6 years ago, where I got into that fight with a Wiccan in the area. May explain some of the trials and tribulations I've had. I pissed off a Wiccan in this town. But a little bit of congratulations in order for Eau Claire Hometown Media. One of our programs did win, quote unquote, win Best Podcast, and that is our Money Donuts podcast with RCU. So congratulations to Cooper and Steven and the whole gang with Royal Credit Union's Money Donuts podcast series. And yes, they are back for another year with us. They haven't put out an episode in a few weeks, as January's kind of a busy time for them, but expect a new episode of Money Donuts any day now. Excited for that. Congratulations to Royal Credit Union and Money Donuts, one of our podcasts that got best of. The other two podcasts, not familiar with them at all. A woman who does a travel-themed podcast, and if anybody knows her, we don't have any of those. And then another one that is LGBTQ plus themed, which we'd welcome them as well, but I don't know if they're really talking on a local level with stuff. So congratulations to Money Donuts. And the thing is, Money Donuts, I've said this before, popular show, does good numbers on our platform. It is by far not our most popular show. That's not a knock on Money Donuts. Absolutely not. It goes to show you, though, that the most popular shows are not necessarily the ones that win these things. And that could be applied to any number of the categories that are there. All right? Just because somebody wins Volume 1's Best Of doesn't mean they're the actual best. Doesn't even mean they're the most popular. It's not necessarily a popularity contest for that. If you or someone you know won something on Volume 1, cool. Take the little graphic, put it up on your social media, hype it up. It's fun. All right? For some, especially small entrepreneurs, a lot of realtors are big into this. This is their entire marketing. They need this. Some their own psyches revolve around, and they do put money into making sure that they win. But for the vast majority of people, if you won, enjoy it. If you didn't win, it means nothing. All right? It means nothing. Do you have clients? Are you making people happy? Do you have business? All that. If you tried to get votes and you didn't place, maybe you bought a couple Facebook ads, you got a team together and you were clicking over and over again. It takes a lot of effort, but you can vote repeatedly if you sign out, sign back in, all that sort of thing. Even that's not concerning. So get your copy of Volume 1. You can go online and check it out as well, but get your copy of Volume 1 and go through, see who won. If anything else, it serves as a nice reminder to you of maybe an eatery you haven't been at in a while. There will be a number of times in which you're going to look and you're going to go, how the hell did that place win? Or how the hell did this person win? This person, it's kind of funny too, especially in the media category. There's a lot of people who win who no longer are even at a spot anymore. It's kind of the old Simpsons episode when they had the softball team, and actually the old Major League movie from 1989. And they're going through the list of people they're going to invite to spring training, and one of them goes, this guy's dead. Cross him off then. I mean, there's people there, there's businesses there that aren't even open anymore that win best of. So that's why I say, get it. Don't hate on it. All right? That's also tired. Don't hate on it. Get it for what it is. It's kind of cool. And if anything else, it's a throwback to, you can look online, but it's better to actually get the thick paper. Free anywhere, grab it. It's a throwback to when we'd actually sit down and open up a paper. Speaking of a throwback, if you will, and actually credit again to Volume 1, this is where I saw it. The Eau Claire's Festival is coming back this year. Been a little quiet the last couple months, but remember there was not ever really an official announcement, but you knew they were going to be at Carson Park, moving to Carson Park, and they're going to hold the Eau Claire's Festival, which is an indie music festival that had occurred for a few years until COVID. And they're going to bring it back to Carson Park in late July. Where exactly at Carson Park remains to be seen. Will it be the baseball field? Will it be another part of those fields? That's really unclear as to where they will hold it. When Carson Park's baseball field hosted a concert before, that was after the season. Now, of course, there's a circus that gets held at Carson Park every year. Speaking of which, how the hell is that circus not yet at the Sonnentag Center? That Shrine Circus. That's another argument for another day. But they're going to hold it at Carson Park. And by the way, as we've said before, great. Let's not forget what a venue Carson Park is, just as an overall, that whole peninsula. We've tended to forget about Carson Park, and let's not do that. That was, and should be considered one of the big jewels of this area. It was the jewel, it is the jewel, it will continue to be the jewel of this area. But there's a video now out there with Michael Perry serving as the narrator that is one of those that tugs at your sentimental core, if you will. You got to watch it. I'm not going to describe it to you. It's 2 minutes of your time, but it's got they've taken some new footage of Carson Park, but they've put kind of the sepia tone behind it. So it's whoever did it did a hell of a job. This is not something that was somebody slapped together for 30 seconds with a cell phone camera. There was a lot of effort here. There's drone footage. There's old highlights of Justin Vernon playing football for Memorial years ago. And in fact, they've even got the voice of the late, great Mike Sullivan underneath it. It's a well-done video and reminds you of really all that's good about just Carson Park. A lot of highlights from this last Express season, for instance. I selfishly would have liked if they'd gone back maybe and found the clip of the 2010 championship game. Start the party, Eau Claire. They could have used my clip there. Start the party, Eau Claire. That'd be pretty cool for something like this. But we need more of these in this area. We need more of these. We are a community that, admit it, oddly lacks pride in itself. And this is one of those videos, whether you are going to go to Eau Claire's festival or not, and I'm absolutely not going to go to the Eau Claire's festival. But it's a cool video that reminds you of how cool the area is. It's a video seeped in nostalgia, seeped in some, reminds you that there is tradition in this area. It reminds you that there is things to be prideful about in this area. I've said it before, and it's risen to the top more in the last, I'd say, 6 months for me, really noticing it. There's kind of a lack of pride that people have in the area. Doesn't mean people are embarrassed, and it doesn't mean people are trying to leave the area, which makes it odd. But there's not really a community collective. I think that's the thing. There's just not a community collective. People are here, but they're not, they're not, It's not as though people complain about a lot in the area either. There's little complaints here and there, but there's complaints everywhere. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's why I look at a video like this, and I go, whether you like the Eau Claire's festival or not, watch it. You should get a little tingling of pride for the area, for what we are. And hopefully there's other videos that get made that are like that for other things. Remind you of the pride that the area can have. We missed out from a strictly sports perspective. I've said it before, when Zorn Arena was going through its last few months, the whole thing was botched in what could have been an opportunity to really tug at the old heartstrings. There was there was never a concentrated effort that was ever made. But I'd like to see more. The video that group put together, B.J. Howers and I forget the other gentleman. I want to say Steven did with RCU. I think he was a part of it. That documentary on Uniroyal, when rubber hit the road or met the road. I would like to see that. I hopefully at some point. I've asked people where you can get it. Can you get it at the Volume 1? You want to see more stuff like that. Now, that's a little sadder, but I'd like to see more videos of things that make us prideful in this area. They exist out there. Let's have more of them. So I like that. Okay, continuing on. There is a bit of a hullabaloo in Cadott. Now, we don't usually talk a lot about Cadott, but I talk about this because we saw a somewhat similar situation in Chippewa Falls, and it's something that could pop up at any one of the districts. Any one of the districts. School finance director in Cadott, Danielle Mittermeier, is now on leave after a federal investigation has been opened into embezzlement charges against her. She is accused of stealing some $200,000 from the Alma Center, Humbird, Maryland district from 2021 through August 2024. August 2024, so not quite this last summer. No comment from Cadott officials yet, other than the fact that she is on administrative leave. Here is the take, because everyone is quickly attacking Cadott. Oh, God, look at how the hell'd you hire her? Look at who you hired. Again, this could be any district. We saw it in Chippewa Falls, remember, a little more than a year ago. That gentleman who had been the superintendent of schools at Glenwood City came over for a lesser position at Chippewa Falls, and it turned out he was trying to run away from a bit of a resume scam and stealing money from, not a resume scam, he was collecting money for classes he wasn't taking. And I think he pled out of that this year. I think he pled guilty. But they originally put him on leave and then quickly got rid of him as soon as they could. And at the time we said, background checks aren't going to ever find these things. These people haven't been charged yet once they come. There's nothing that's come to surface yet, so a background check isn't going to find anything. Can there be a red flag if somebody leaves one position for another position that could be deemed to be lower? Yeah. And trust me, that gets asked a lot in interviews, but it's not, somebody's not leaving maybe one job for another because they're trying to run from a potential issue. They could be leaving for any number of reasons that are much less nefarious. Family, they want to just go to a different school. They're where they are is toxic. They may have a better quote unquote position on paper, but they're not enjoying it. The position that they currently have, while it's a better title, they might not be doing exactly what they would like to be doing. So while it does bring a red flag if somebody leaves one job for another and it's would be viewed on the outside as a step down, it's easy to interview your way out of that being a red flag. So when you look at this case here with Daniel Mittermeier, there's nobody at Cadott to blame. There's nobody at Cadott to blame. And frankly, they'll find out maybe were signals missed from her previous district? Absolutely, maybe. But there is nothing for Cadott to be held any bit accountable for. Unfortunately, they're the ones who end up getting a little bit more of the bad press because it's a Cadott school official that is on administrative leave and all of that. Does this mean Cadott can't, or any district, if something like this happens, cannot look into their hiring practices, see what did they potentially miss? Absolutely. But is there a shot to all those that are commenting on EAU and QOW's Facebook page, and no doubt to in Cadott circles with Facebook, is there a chance that somebody at Cadott knew this was a possibility before they hired her? There's possibly, and if that came to light, then that changes everything. You do not pass go. That's a big swing and a miss. But I'm 99% sure that Cadott had no inkling that something like this could be going on. So we've got to watch constantly bashing the sides, and sometimes there's not a pound of flesh to be had. Sometimes there's not a pound of flesh to be had. Simple as that. A couple other things to get to today. Staying with schools quickly, the Old Abe Show Choir has its Winterfest this weekend, so best of luck to them. I think Altoona has their event. I don't think Altoona's had their event yet. I think theirs comes at the end of the month. Show choir remains a big thing in the Midwest. It's kind of been outside of my sphere of influence. I haven't had not a lot of groups that have been interviewed on our shows with show choir, and it's not in our family, but I still believe it's as big now as it's ever been, show choir. Eau Claire Memorial holding theirs. Those are all-day events and what have you. Another opportunity for the Memorial High School's renovated auditorium to go to work. Also saw that EAU's doing a story. They're trying to do some stories on some type of local Olympic tie-ins, if you will, and they're doing a little story on Karen Bai, who longtime Olympian on the U.S. women's hockey team. She's based out of River Falls, and I think does some coaching over in Minnesota now, and that's a cool story. But there was a story that came out about 3 or so days ago, maybe earlier this week, maybe late last week, that talked about this older gentleman who still volunteers to coach the Osseo Fairchild boys basketball team. Great story. It was done by a guy from the Twin Cities. That what's his name? Boyd Hubert. I'm not trying to downplay him. He's like a major figure in the Twin Cities. I don't really watch though. Obviously, KARE television. How the hell's he coming? Not just into Western Wisconsin to do the story. Passes through Eau Claire and goes another 30 minutes to Osseo to do the story. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. If I'm people at EAU and they ran the story, they could run the story. But explain that to me. Why the hell is he doing the story? Why aren't you doing the story? Why aren't you? Makes you wonder sometimes. Makes you wonder. Sometimes. Hey, we said it before when there was all the terrible tragedies up in Barron County. A lot of times, whether it was QOW or EAU, they were using stories produced by Minnesota outlets. Awful job by the local TV people when that comes. And don't that's a blanket bad job. That's a blanket bad job. I'm sure that there's reasons and all that, but in this case, the reasons are nothing more than excuses for that. Derek Van Orden coming. You'll see maybe more stuff like this in the coming weeks and months, because obviously Van Orden's going to have a congressional seat that is going to be significantly challenged, and with Republicans still in charge in the United States Congress, they will be trying to funnel as much money as they can, grants and what have you, to those various individuals that may have challenged seats come this election cycle, because it becomes something that they can hang their hat on. So Derek Van Orden secured over $22 million back to our congressional district, able to find where there was some overruns and what have you, and got money back to us here. Makes for a good headline and what have you. So expect to see a little bit more of that. That's something that our area can benefit from. If you are somebody that is not going to vote for Van Orden, or you're absolutely going to vote for somebody else and what have you, you can have your cake and eat it too. Do not poo-poo that the money is coming back. This is one of those things you gotta learn to kind of massage the waves a little bit here. There's going to be a wave of, you would think, a possibility we could really benefit in this year in our area from the fact that the national Republican powers that be are going to want to do everything they can to help Van Orden win in November, and our area could very much benefit from it. This is one of those, this is almost, it's not quite, but it's almost the Godfather wedding. All right? The Godfather's got to, on the day of his daughter's wedding, he is much more apt to say yes to requests. So here's an opportunity for our area to absolutely take advantage of it. No questions asked. Let's jump right at it. And then one other thing I wanted to get to today, because I think this is great, and it's going to be a story that sort of slides by. It's a 45-second space filler in local news. It'll take up a little bit of a chunk on the Leader Telegram, but and I think this might be the first time I've seen them do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they've done it before. But UW Eau Claire accounting students are doing free tax preparations. It is tax preparation season. Some already have them done. Some, like my wife, who takes care of our families, they will get done hurriedly on a Saturday, probably sometime in late March. But UW Eau Claire accounting students doing free tax preparation. Now, you must have, I don't know if it's a joint income under or if it's personal, but an income under $67,000. So if there's probably not a lot of, if it's joint, that's going to wipe away a number of people. But individually, 67,000, there's a lot of people in town that do not make $67,000 a year that live very, very well. All right. So this is not something that is got a very, very low bar that is hard to take advantage of. This is not only open to those under $20,000 or whatever, up to $67,000. So that covers an awful lot of people that are out there. So you can get free tax preparation from UW Eau Claire accounting students, opponents available on campus. This is great. This is a win-win. You've always seen, barber schools, you can go and get free or significantly discounted haircuts. CVTC and the dental program there has brought in dental clinics, and you've seen that elsewhere around the country, the dental clinics, and nurses get opportunities to do some things ahead of time, and all of that. Think of various internships, too, that aren't necessarily this. This is outstanding. A lot of these accounting students will one day end up either with a company or with a provider, and they will be in charge of handling a business's accounting practices, including taxes. They may be filing a lot of taxes for whatever they are going to work. This is a great opportunity for them to get hands-on experience and do it. It's an opportunity for people in the community to get their taxes done for free without having to utilize one of the softwares, which are easy enough to do, but yeah, this is still better. All right? And it's a prime example of the benefits of having schools like UW Eau Claire in this community, and CVTC. It's a two-way street. We get them and the benefits that these institutions bring, and they are in a metro area that has the population to provide these types of opportunities for their students with no travel. So think about it. You're able to do this, UW Eau Claire accounting students doing free tax preparation. If this university was, say, located in Cadott, let's say Cadott, all right, and Cadott's got a small ecosystem that develops around the university, but it's not much bigger than it is now, maybe 7,000, 8,000 people. You could offer this, and maybe the university would have an outreach center in Chippewa or Eau Claire, and you'd meet there, but it's not the same. Here, it's right here in Eau Claire, the center, the cultural hub of the region. You're going to get a lot more interest, a lot more opportunity. So it's a two-way street. Both sides end up benefiting, the community and the university. May you all enjoy the weekend. Don't forget, Sunday is the Super Bowl. My prediction for the Super Bowl, it is never close. It is never right. My prediction for the Super Bowl, I just do not want to see New England win. My prediction for the Super Bowl is a 24-16 win for Seattle. I got Seattle winning 24-16. Super Bowl win for the Seattle Seahawks. I know many of you will be watching. I know we recently came across an individual that made it very clear to me they will not be watching the Super Bowl. Hey, 127 million people will watch the Super Bowl. It will feel like everybody's watching the Super Bowl. Half the country, though, will not be watching the Super Bowl. So if you are part of the half that does not watch the Super Bowl, God bless you. All right? God bless you. Have fun. More room for the rest of us. All right. We'll be back on Tuesday, another edition of Talk of the Town then. On behalf of everyone who made this podcast possible, I'm Scott Montesano saying there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Make sure to take advantage of it. And until next time, so long, everybody.